The former so-called People's Governor of Donbass and one of the most prominent ideologists of aggression against Ukraine, Pavel Gubarev, gave a very frank interview to the Z channel when the guns began to sing. The one who has been promoting the ideas of the Russian world since 2014 now openly stated, "The war started by Russia was a mistake from the very beginning. I now believe that the way the war against Ukraine, started, went on and is going on. It would have been better not to start it at all, of course. Nothing is changing for us. We are defeated in the meat assaults, advancing, and so we continue. Now we have Sumy, this long-suffering Volchansk, Pokrovskoye. Everywhere they are pushing. Come on, forward. But no one has any strength left. We have an army that is frankly serfdom. The guys are exhausted. You come, and it is impossible to leave," said Gubarev. His words are not just doubtful, but an open accusation of betrayal against the authorities. The Z-patriot says he understood this at the very beginning of the invasion. 2 weeks after the start, I already began to think that this was a large-scale betrayal. The beginning of the SVO is also a betrayal. It looked like we were going to the slaughter. We did not reach any Kiev. The enemy showed malicious resistance, inflicted huge losses on us, he said. According to him, Russian elite units, including paratroopers and special forces, were virtually destroyed in the first months of the war. The elite personnel units, paratroopers, GRU men, who advanced there, they lost up to half of their personnel, killed and wounded. They were the elite of elite troops. Those who started SVO with such a plan are crazy. We thought that they should know better in the offices, but they are no better, stated Gubarev. He admits that the war dragged on for years and no real goals were achieved. According to Gubarev, the initial hope for a quick victory quickly crumbled. There was hope that SVO could end with something good. Otherwise, I would not have gone there. But it quickly became clear that this is a long story, a difficult confrontation. The enemy is charged, motivated. We attacked. They are defending themselves. They are having a people's war there, the Z-patriot said bitterly. He also openly names the monstrous losses at the front. In the Sumy direction, we had 1,000 to 1,500 people die. When we are advancing, we have thousands killed per day. When in the position, hundreds. Damn, 3.5 years. And I claim that there are over 1 million victims, killed, missing and maimed. And how many cities we have taken. It's ridiculous. This is a defeat. It is not clear how to get out of this story. Save face. We got into this conflict and there is no way to get out. Stuck in a black hole. Darkness all around, Gubarev said.
Ukraine drone attack killed a Russian National Guard officer and 2 civilians in Russia's border Kursk region on the night leading to Wednesday. Kursk Governor Alexander Kinstein said a Ukrainian drone attack on the city of Kursk just before midnight killed 3 people and injured 7 others, including a 5-year-old boy. Astra Telegram channel reported that the Ukrainian UAV was shot down at around 11 p.m. on July 8 over the Pokrovskoye beach in Kursk, roughly 600 meters away from the Russian Defense Ministry's 18th Central Research Institute. The facility occupies an area of 6 hectares. The debris of the downed drone fell onto the beach. Pro-Kremlin REN TV channel reported that an investigation has been launched into the attack to confirm the fact of terrorism and deliberate targeting of civilians. It should be noted that Ukraine has scaled up drone and missile attacks on Russian targets in occupied Ukrainian territories and deep in Russia in recent months.
Ukraine is using fishing nets in the east to catch Russian drones. The nets are stretched over roads leading to hotspots, military checkpoints and artillery positions. This is reported by the New York Times. It is noted that the nets are sown in cities that are far from the front or delivered from northern ports, and are also donated by fishermen who no longer need them. Their goal is to hinder Russian drones, which are now swarming in the skies above the front line and attacking almost anything that moves, be it an armored vehicle rushing to replenish troops' supplies or a soldier hiding in a forest belt, the article adds. Because the nets are tightly woven, they can entangle drone propellers and immobilize weapons, making them a simple but effective countermeasure against drones which are usually moving too fast to be shot down. The New York Times also recalled that the Russian Federation often uses drones on fiber optics. This makes it impossible to jam them with electronic warfare. Therefore, nets have become one of the few ways to catch drones before they start attacking. Military engineers have noticed that even a regular fishing net can stop or damage an enemy drone, said Lieutenant Colonel Maxim Kravchuk, head of the communications department of the engineering troops of the armed forces of Ukraine. According to him, nets are now being installed along the entire front line, from east to south. At the same time, Federico Borsari, an expert on technological warfare at the Center for European Policy Analysis, noted that Russia was the first to use nets in this war. This was done in 2023, but on a limited scale. Then Russian troops used nets to counter small attack quadcopters that Ukraine used to strike soldiers and vehicles, the article recalled. In turn, Ukraine is now planning to cover the main roads along the entire front line with nets, creating so-called net corridors that will allow transport to move more safely. This project is gradually changing the landscape of the Ukrainian front line. Roads that were once lined with trenches and barbed wire are now also covered with nets suspended on cables between poles. Driving along them feels like you are in a transparent tunnel, the NYT emphasized. In addition, military vehicles have also been fitted with mesh cages that allow drones to explode a few meters away from the vehicle, minimizing the impact. The use of nets reflects a defining feature of this war, where outdated but effective means of protection are often opposed by the most modern weapons. The publication notes, some Ukrainian units also still use machine guns from World War II to shoot down drones. At the same time, a representative of the Kherson City Council called on residents to carry scissors to cut fiber optic cables that may be connected to drones. From a military point of view, the Russian invasion of Ukraine is a clear example of the combination of old and new, Borsari added. With potentially hundreds of kilometers of road to be covered with nets, Ukraine is now turning to charities to obtain more nets. In particular, the founder of the Swedish non-profit organization Operation Change, Ludwig Ramestam, said that this year the organization has donated 250 tons of nets. We are giving these nets a second life, he stressed, joking that his organization plans to empty the harbors.